and welcome to First Days with Johanna. I'm Johanna. We are here in my studio in south of Sweden. This is the place where I dye some yarn. I have some yarn going on the stoves at the moment, so hopefully that won't be a problem and I will get through this before I need to attend it some more. But things are starting to heat up a little bit in here because there are a lot of pots going at the same time. So I hopefully will be clear enough with everything that I want to share with you today. This is also the place where I record these videos, and I record videos for my online courses. Now, if you want to know more about anything about that, check out the links in the description of this video. I will also share all the patterns and all the other things that I talk about down in the description. So, with that out of the way, I actually have some finished objects this week. Not one pair of socks, but two pairs of socks. You might have seen one of the pairs last week when I announced my test knit, but I didn't have the time to show them off properly, I think. So I want to do that today as well. So should we start with those? This is what will be my new pattern. This is how much finished they are. I still have the ends to weave in. That's the way it is. The other pair are completely finished. I woven in the ends on those, but apparently not on this pair. So this is the pattern that will be this is the socks that will be my new pattern. This is Find a Way socks. And they have small traveling stitches going on the outside of both socks. So they are a little bit different from each other. Traveling stitches are basically small cables that are used in Estonian knitting, and you can use a little bit of a different technique to do them or to make them. So there will be some links to videos in the pattern that you can check out in order to do the traveling stitches. Otherwise, this pattern is not that big of a repeat, and once you get going, you kind of see where you should go with the small stitches there. So they go all the way up, even into the ribbing on top of the foot. I worked this pair from toe up with a fleagle heel, and in the pattern there will be instructions for both toe up and cuff down. As I said, the pattern is in testing at the moment, so hopefully it will release in the end of July. That is my hope anyway. But yeah, these are done, and my son is actually gonna have them. So he was photo model for some pictures that, yeah, it's always handy to have someone else to wear the socks when you need to take photos of them. And these are actually too small for me. So he was a good model and patiently sat there lifting his feet so I can take some pictures. The other pattern or the other pair of socks that I finished is the Sandvåg socks by Yarnesty. This pattern is only available through Nordic Knitting Society, and this was a test knit that I did for Anna. So the Sandvåg socks have this cable going on the foot and on the leg. And this pair is worked cuff down with the heel flap and with this gusset under the foot. And yeah, this was a really fun knit. I'm just a little bit late because I knit the largest size and it takes a little bit of time to do. But now I have two socks finished at the moment. I haven't had the time to take pictures on my husband of them, but hopefully I can insert a picture so you can see them on his feet. It depends a little bit on the weather when he gets home from work. Let's hope for the best so you can see the socks on his feet. This pair of socks is worked in opal 4-ply, and I don't even have the colorway for it. It's a dark tealy blue, and it was, yeah, I like opal sock yarn. It's a little bit rustique, but it lasts forever. It's one of the best sock yarn to work with if you want your socks to last a very long time. So that is my second pair of finished socks. Now, of course I have some socks on the needles as well. I have my socks that I said have taken a little bit of a back seat because, yeah, I needed to do some other sock knitting, but I actually put a little bit of work into these socks. The socks is called Het Röra or Hot Mess. The pattern is only available in Swedish at the moment. I'm working on the translation, and just to make sure that everything is correct, I'm test knitting them as I go. So you can see I was down here and I put in a couple of rounds on the first sock. So soon it will be available for you. Now, this is SKU number 2 in the Dive colorway, and yeah, a subtle blue with some greens in, and I'm working in 2 strands even if the pattern just calls for 1 yarn. The reason I'm doing that is because I had a little bit of difference in my 2 50-gram balls. So I want to say that the Dive colorway is somewhere in between those 2, and that the sock is pretty accurate as it is. I don't really know what happened with these 2 skeins, because one was a little bit too dark and one was a little bit too bright. That's why I'm knitting them up and not sending them out to anyone else. That was the thing that actually is on my needles at the moment. Now I have 2 future projects that I want to show you as well. I have, of course, my second pair of Find a Way socks. I want to knit this pattern in this color. So you actually can see this traveling stitches a little bit better than you can in this busy colorway. So they will be sunshine, orangey yellow, and perfectly bright. And I thought it matched this project bag. This bag is from Yale and the Bags, I think she's called now. I will link her Instagram account down below. She makes very pretty linen pouches and bags and a lot of other stuff as well. Yeah, I really like this project bag. So this is my future knitting number 1. It will be a pattern coming very soon. So my second future knitting is also a test knit. This is a mitten pattern that Yarnesty will release soon. And this pattern, you use some mini skeins and a base color. Mini skeins or leftovers or whatever you have. That is something that you can use for this pattern. I've chosen 3 colors here together with a pale natural gray. It's the lightest gray available in my number 1 yarn. And this is also SKU number 1 in these 10-gram minis. And it will be a mitten for me, hopefully, because strange as it is, I have like 2 pairs of mittens because they keep on disappearing down to my son because he likes my knitted mittens, and then he felts them and I can't wear them any longer. So I need to make a new pair for me that I can use this winter. And yeah, the pattern that I will test knit will also be a part of the advent calendar that I will release in July. So if you want to have an advent calendar from SKU, peel your eyes in July, where you will have all the notifications you need and where you will find everything that you need to buy this advent calendar. Advent calendars is something that I have done 4 years now, I think. I think it went out without pattern the first year. So no, I had another mitten pattern going out the first year. So this is the 4th year there will be advent calendars. There will be a very limited spots available this time. And I can't promise that all calendars will be the same, but there will be some advent calendars going out, and it will be with a mitten pattern this time around. I will also include the 2 previous designs that I have done for the advent calendar. So you will get both the cowl with a lot of colorwork knitting and the blanket that I finished not too long ago. So you will have those patterns plus a mitten pattern that is perfect to use. As I said, it's Kerstin's pattern and I'm so thrilled to test it now, and that it will be available in my advent calendars coming forth. Advent calendars will be announced in July, so check your eyes if you want to have them. My advent calendar is in SKU number 1, which is 100% wool yarn, 400 meters per 100 grams, a fingering weight wool yarn. It's not a sock yarn, it's no superwash, it's a rustic wool yarn that you can use for mittens, hats, sweaters, blankets, cowls, whatever you like, but it won't hold up that great for socks. That was it about the advent calendars, and that was about it for my knitting as well. I wanted to show you a technique that I really enjoy doing. It's a little bit fiddly, but it makes for a very pretty cast on edge. I wanted to show you the Tubular Cast On. Now, this is a little bit fiddly, but as I said, it works perfectly for a ribbed cast on or a ribbed edge. So if you want it up against your neck in a sweater if you're knitting top down, or at the bottom of your sweater if you're knitting bottom up, it's perfect for those 1x1 ribbing. So mittens, socks, hats, sweaters, you name it. You can use this cast on for anything you like. As I said, it's a little bit fiddly, so you may have to take it step by step, but you don't have to go anywhere. You just have to sit tight and you will see how I make the tubular cast on. Here you go. Now, this doesn't look like much maybe, but we have a cast on edge that kind of just flows into the ribbing over here. I mean, it's flexible just like the ribbing, it's not restricting the ribbing in any way, and it's round and nice to go into the ribbing. And this is the tubular cast on, and now I'm going to show you how to make that. For this cast on we need a scrap yarn and the working yarn. We start by making a slip knot with both strands of the yarn, and this slip knot is something that we will remove later on. Then we place the slip knot on our needle and bring the yarn so you have the working yarn on your index finger and the waste yarn on your thumb. What we will do then is that we will go under the thumb yarn and we will pick up the yarn from the index finger. Then we just do a yarn over with the yarn from our index finger. Under the thumb yarn, pick up the yarn from the index finger and back under the yarn again. And then a yarn over from the index finger. So under the thumb yarn, pick up the yarn from the index finger and back under again. And then a yarn over from the yarn on the index finger. Working like that creates one stitch that is more like a knit stitch and one stitch that is more like a purl stitch. So down here you can see that there is one stitch that is more to be a knit stitch and one that is more to be a purl stitch. When I cast on the number of stitches required, I will twist the strands one more time around each other and then turn my work. And now for my first setup round, I will knit one stitch and then I will slip the next stitch with the yarn in front. And I will do this across the entire row. So what I want to do is knit my first stitch here. And then I want to slip the next with the yarn in front. Knit and slip the next stitch with yarn in front. Knit one and slip with my yarn in front. Knit one and slip with the yarn in front. Oops, that was it. Knit one and slip with the yarn in front. And what you can see is that you're slipping the stitches that have the waste yarn like a purl bump, and you're knitting the stitches that don't have that waste yarn purl bump. So this is the first setup row of the tubular cast on, and we're soon at the end here now. Just a few more slips, one more, and slip the last one. Now I only have the slip knot still on my needle, and I'm gonna drop that one, and I can even pull it out. That's okay. Then I turn my work again. Even if you're supposed to be knitting in the round, you still turn your work. And now you will have the first, we need to twist those strands a little bit so we can actually have the first stitch as a knit stitch. And then we're gonna slip the stitches that look like purl stitches. We're gonna slip those with the yarn in front. So knit the stitches that are knit stitches and then slip. Just as the first setup round, we do this on the way back. Knit one and slip one with the yarn in front. All the way across. And these two setup rounds can be done twice. I mean one for each side, or you can do them 2 times on each side if you want to. If you do them 2 times, it will be a little bit of a rounder cast on edge, and if you do them once, it will be a little less round, but still completely workable cast on edge. There we have the 2 setup rounds. After you have worked these 2 setup rounds, you go ahead and either join in the round or turn the work and work back and forth in the ribbing as you like. This is best for 1x1 ribbing. You can even use it for 1x1 twisted ribbing, but I will
show you just some normal ribbing here. When I have a little bit of ribbing to hold on to, I will actually take away this waste yarn that is that we used in the beginning. And what I can do then is just not just pull it, because we have it twisted over here, but once that twist is out, I can just pull it out, all of it at once. So there we go, the twist is removed, and then we can just pull it through here. So there you go, the tubular cast on edge with ribbing. And if you want an even rounder edge here, then work the setup round 4 times instead of 2.
That was the tubular cast on. I hope you learned something new. Now there will be, as usual this time around, a little bit of footage from my garden. Today we're going to go into my greenhouse and have a look at the things that actually got planted last weekend. It's a windy day here today, so you might hear the greenhouse a little bit, but that's why also that I took you into the greenhouse today. We have this small greenhouse that we keep tomatoes and cucumbers and bell peppers and chilies in. I also have a little bit of, let's see, I can't show you that right now, but I also have a little bit of seeds that are incubating here that will be planted out later on when there is more room in the boxes outside. Now I will show you a little bit more about how we have set up our greenhouse. Here is the small seeds that I have on incubation here. There are some more tomato plants because I always keep a little bit more than we put out, because that's always good to see that we have enough when they start to grow. This down here, that's actually parsley that will go out when they have grown a little bit bigger. And in this box there is some corn. We have a little bit more herbs. We have thyme, and I really don't know what that will be in English, so I have to look that up. Then we have some flowers. We have some sunflowers here, some dahlias, a little bit more parsley because we eat a lot of parsley in our family. And this is something that I need to, it's like a flowering pea. I really don't know if that is the name in English. I will put that on the screen so that you can read, but they should be really dark when they bloom later on. So all of these were planted from seeds and have grown a little bit too slow this spring, but we will get there, right? Then hanging from baskets on the roof of the greenhouse, we have cucumbers. We have like snack size cucumbers that will hopefully keep us with cucumbers for the entire of the summer. We have this one here, and full flip around, we have a second one over here. This one has actually grown a little bit, so it's reaching up. I want to go out the window. We will try to reach it over here when it's actually going to grab onto there later on. Then if we go down, there is, now let's see, that is 2 chilies growing on that one. Here is another chili variety, and some peppers in these 2. All of our plants standing on the ground of the greenhouse. They are planted in these buckets that have a water reservoir in the bottom there. So we fill in the water in the pipe and it stands below here and then gradually goes up to the plant. So we don't have to water that often. That's really great in our household. All of these standing here in the row are tomatoes that I planted from seeds, and it's a little bit slow start because I wanted to see them a lot bigger, but not this time around. We will get there, I'm very sure of it. Here we have a black cherry variety. Over here we have some brandywine, and I can see there's a lot of plants, so we need to figure out which one we're gonna keep and which is not the ones that will serve us this year. Brandywine is a big beef tomato, so that's perfect for pasta sauces and stuff. This one over here is also a beef tomato, looking kind of sad at the moment. I really don't know why. And here we have some yellow pear tomatoes and normal red tomato that you will find in any supermarket. And this one is a plum tomato. So it will be so good when we finally can have our own tomatoes. Okay, so this is how I wanted my tomatoes, all of them, to look at the moment, and most of them are like that. This is a tomato that I got from my brother-in-law, and yeah, he did a better job than I did this year. Let's just put it like that. There are already some flowers on, and it's just robust and big, and yeah, that's the way I would like it to look, but sadly, no. Thank you all for watching. I hope to see you next week too. Next week I'm thinking that we will go and have a roundup of all of my works in progress to see which ones I actually want to work on and which ones are maybe a little bit outdated and can be returned to some better place. Hope to see you next week. Happy knitting. Bye.